Community Conversations is a space that fosters conversation around topics important to us, with the purpose of creating an educational opportunity to teach, learn, work, and grow together. With your host, Ina.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Community Conversation. Today we are talking about employment, which for all of us three as 30-something persons with SPNH is very much big part of our life. Mm-hmm. And as a we want to both share our personal stories, but before we dive into how we got to where we are now, I would like to share some statistics.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Yeah. Yes. So let me just start off by saying if you just Google employment rate, disability, global, then you get tons of results. This is two sources that I have found. If these numbers aren't correct, if you guys seeing this have any other statistics or facts, please share. Mm-hmm. Because as I will get into the last statistics, which is around employment with people with disabilities. That fact I'm not sure is recent numbers. But anyway, here is what I found. So globally, the employment rate is around 56%, and that is employment to population ratio last year. It of course differentiates based on which continent you live in, which country you live in, because so in Europe and North America, where we live, the numbers might be bigger than let's say a smaller country in the middle of Africa, which, by the way, if you don't know, it's a big ass continent. If you, yeah, just my first preface. Africa is not a country, it's a big ass continent.
Yes.
Different.
I'm still impressed by people that call it a country.
Yes.
I'm really impressed. The intelligence, the knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a whole other
Another topic.
A different episode.
A different day.
we can share another time. Yeah. So that was employment rate based on the whole population globally, despite disability or not. What I found on the UN.org website under Department of Economic and Social Affairs. This is my preface number 2. These numbers might be as old as like 20 years. I don't know. If you have any other more recent numbers that differentiate from this, please feel free to write in the comments below. Yeah. I'm super happy if I'm wrong about this. These numbers. But according to this UN data, then in developing countries, like some countries in Africa, Asia, Central America, I don't know. I'm not preface number 3. Yeah, that number is between 10 and 20% employment rate with persons with disabilities. And these numbers, by the way, is based on population within working ages, so from 18 to 65. In industrialized countries like Sweden or Canada, where we live, the number is more like 30 to 50% employment rate. So more close to the general public, but still very much under. It of course differentiates on country basis. We will have these 2 links in the comments below also. Yeah. Thoughts, ideas, or anyone wants to start sharing their story around how you came to work with what you work with now.
Could I quickly actually just make an observation? I thought it's really, really interesting, and it actually never ceases to amaze me in majority world countries where majority, aka developing countries, majority world countries where majority of the world lives in those countries, in that part of the world, and it never ceases to amaze me, specifically through the lens of disability, how the employment rate is only 10 to 20%, while majority of the world lives in those countries, in those places. And so how many people living with disabilities in a majority or developing world country, are living with a disability, facing all kinds of different things that I think definitely influence somebody to arguably, but not so arguably, I think more matter-of-factly, kind of discriminate on and kind of through the fact that they live with a disability, and that fact, or that piece to their identity be the reason that they're not employed, and just how nuts that is, that in countries that have so many people in them, majority world countries, developing countries, only 10 to 20% are of humans in our disability community are employed. It just never ceases to amaze me, and I think you put it well, Ina, in terms of if somebody wants to correct us with those numbers, you'd be more than happy to be wrong about those numbers today.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, that I think that never, like, those population versus like statistic never ceases to amaze me, just through the lens of like sheer mass of people, and how many less people are represented through the lens of employment, simply because of living with a disability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vida?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
So that's interesting numbers.
Mm-hmm.
How when were they collected? Did you say?
It was really not clear,
Okay.
based on the it was not like a diagram, like it was fluent texts of just numbers and letters.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you wanna go and dive deeper, then it's the links below. Yeah, and also these employment rate numbers in the disability realm is based on all disability,
Yeah.
not just SB&H, not just if you have trouble walking and use a wheelchair. I mean, it's if you're visually impaired, that scale is also from like completely blind down to I can see but not fully.
Yeah.
and mental disabilities,
Yeah.
uh, neurological disabilities,
Yeah.
all just put in one place.
Yeah.
So that's my preface number 4
Yeah.
on this conversation.
Yep.
Diva, to your question that you asked, actually I'm also always so fascinated with regards to how hard it can sometimes be to find up to date stats. I know I've done searches where I'm searching for something specifically, and the best I can find is like 2013, 14, or earlier 2002, and it's like where's like my why can't I find like a 2022 report, or at the very least a 2021 report? Like I understand maybe not necessarily being able to report on 2022 because we're still in it, but like why can't I find a 2021? Like why is this so hard to find? Why?
Yes, especially when you put in the search box
Yeah,
statistics, employment rate, disability,
yeah,
and then just a lot of
yeah,
other things. Just just the fact that it's so hard to maybe collect these numbers,
yeah,
collecting data from from all countries.
yeah,
Also, maybe not in common interests.
yeah.
I don't know.
Mm,
I don't know. But going from that to our personal experiences.
mm,
Any?
Yes, Danny. We know that you now are a musician, entrepreneur. Have you had any other jobs, and how has your adult life based on employment been so far?
I mean I think this topic is interesting for me because um when I was young, I've done a ton of different jobs. I grew up in wine country, so I worked in wineries, and I had a paper route, and what else did I do? I worked in restaurants, and I was a server and bartender, and um, um, but it's interesting because like a lot of the conversations, not a lot, but there are definitely conversations, and this is one of those conversations where in terms of employment I haven't faced anything. Getting a job always felt pretty easy, and I was a good interviewer, and there was no physical barriers that I faced for somebody to look at me or receive me and think anything other than you know does he seem like a good fit, based on this interview, and that's pretty much always the way it was. So I think it's interesting because I think through this conversation and through the work that we all do and do individually and collectively, and as like these conversations grow, my curiosity has continued to grow in terms of like what are the barriers that people within our SBNH community face when it comes to employment that I didn't face. And I think that's one of the super interesting things about spina bifida being a snowflake condition in terms of it looking different in everybody, for everybody. Everybody's experience is so vastly different. And for me, I was that dude that got that job and then, got more comfortable in that job. And, my employers start to ask me questions, or like they'd see the back of my head and go, oh, hey, what's that? And I'd start to share my story and they'd be like, whoa, that's that. Wow. That's nuts. And it was just a really, nothing on the front, everything on the back end of, whoa, there's a lot more to you than meets the eye. And so it was interesting because I definitely in this conversation have I see myself as having still a lot more to learn through this conversation specifically. But yeah, to your question specifically though, Ina, worked a lot of different jobs growing up, and now do a lot of music, from an educational perspective to a managerial perspective, to then a humanitarian and an activist perspective, if that makes sense. I think I kind of have those three buckets: education, education management, and then humanitarian, all kind of through the lens of music in some way, shape, or form. But it is interesting because I think all of those conversations, all of these conversations, all the work that we do, have definitely influenced the way in which I work with people, and the way in which I just work with people. Period. And I'll forever remember this. Well, I've got actually a couple students, a few at least now, who I work with in different capacities, pulling out what they do really, really well, and leaning into their abilities and what they do. And it's kind of cool. I talk about him a lot, but this young dude I've known for a long time, Austin, he lives with cerebral palsy, and his mom wasn't sure if he could learn to play the piano, and my answer is always like, of course he can. Yeah, heck yeah, of course. And so he came over and we started lessons, and I learned really, really quickly that his right hand could do a lot of the melodic stuff, all the melody and that type of stuff. Whereas left hand, he had really good function over his middle finger. And so I learned really quickly that, so for anyone that is musical, you'll understand this. Anyone that's not, I'm sorry, just bear with me. But C major scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C up the piano. So he'd do that with his right hand, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then with his left hand, he'd play the dominant notes in that chord. So the three notes in that chord that make up the C major triad are C, E, G. So his right hand would play all the notes, and then his left hand would play what we'd call the bass notes. So his C, his E, G, C, and then it'd go back, and he'd play those bass notes. And to be able to, I'll never forget the moment he played his first song. Both hands played his first song, and looking up, just like this sense of like, I just did that. And it's continued to snowball and become like, of course I could do this. Like, and that sense of belief of like, I didn't know I could do that. And now like, I just know that I can. And to see that in him, and to see that come out in him, gets me super, super stoked. Gets me super, super excited, to the point where like he does stuff on his own now and he shows me. And I'm like, man, that's awesome. You've graduated from like needing me to hold your hand to like, Danny, let me show you this cool thing I just did. Yeah, sweet. That's awesome. You don't need me anymore. I hope you'll always have me, but you don't need me anymore. And that's like the greatest accomplishment that I think I could have is somebody not need me anymore.
Yes.
But hopefully, he just wants to continue to jam and show me what he's doing. And through that lens, through that work lens, I love that, because as we know, we've talked about the world, things are not accessible, and music is one of those things that can be framed in a way that's not accessible, unless you choose to actively look for what that human can do and make it accessible to that human, because it absolutely was possible for Austin to do that, and it absolutely is possible for any other human, I think, to be involved in music some way. And that way might look different than the way I'm involved in music, or Austin's involved in music, or Diva, or Ina's involved in music, whatever. It might look different, but I really, really love to work in that way. And I think some of that has come through me also learning and reflecting on different workspaces that I've worked in that haven't been accessible. The way the job was created isn't accessible. The way the space was created isn't accessible. The way the application process looks like isn't accessible. The way the hiring process isn't accessible, so on and so forth. And so all of this stuff has definitely made me smarter, and constantly curious, and trying to figure out how can I work and teach and hire and do all those things in a way that is as accessible as it can be. Am I perfect? No. Am I trying to be? Yeah. But
that's the most important thing,
yeah.
because through our whole life, we always grow, we always evolve, learn new skills, meeting new different people, and this is also the base of this space, a space where we together with all of you seeing this, hearing this, listening, hopefully commenting and being a part of it all, because it's so much bigger than just the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no man is an island. It's very cheeky, but it's so true.
Yeah.
With that being said, Diva, I want to hear, if you want.
I don't know where to start. My journey has been long, it seems. Today I work as technical administrator. It's called. It's very fancy. It isn't. It's Excel lists, phone, yeah, just computer work, basically. A lot of it is quite monotone, I would say, but I don't know. I just I kind of like it that way. And I just love my team. I love the company I work for. So it suits me at this moment. Before that, I worked in data collection and statistics. So I will be looking at those statistics later. Yeah.
Do.
Yeah. Not too much, because then I'm going to have flashbacks from a couple of years ago, which might be fun, might be not. We'll see. I worked in customer service. I worked in. I tried working in a gym, or not tried. I worked at a gym, just like overall personnel, cleaning, talking to clients, helping them out. I've been a trainee at a restaurant, a school or teacher assistant. I worked for a sports association, and that job interview, when I went to a job interview for that sports administration service, the building was accessible, but to get to my office, I needed to get up a floor without elevator.
Oh.
And that was my test. Well, my former boss said, before he became my boss, if you can get your chair up those stairs, you get the job.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
And of course I did it. Of course I did. Because why not? I was, well, one of the first things I did, I was a trainee at a restaurant. To everyone's horror, it was through my school. They had a special program for like 7th graders to just like go out and test out how it feels to work. And I chose a restaurant, and everyone was against that, even the principal, because I'm going to hurt myself. My God, this is insane. My mom even was called for crisis meetings because they what was said at those meetings, and I was also invited for some stupid reason. Me and the whole school basically sat there, and they tried to convince me why I shouldn't do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but I
So instead of going in and trying to help you find ways to succeed, they try to downplay choice.
Yeah. That was interesting, but I wouldn't budge at all. So I spent like 2 months. It was a 2 months program. I spent 2 months in a restaurant. My mom tried to talk me out of it every morning before I went, and every evening when I came home.
Oh my gosh.
For 2 months.
Oh my gosh. Why? What was her biggest, like, well, what?
My mom has been working in restaurants for like 30 years before she retired, and she knows how hard it is, and it is really hard. You have to be up on your feet all the time, mostly. a lot of people, a lot of things to do, basically. I was relieved from serving because plates and my balance don't go well together. So I was relieved from that. But otherwise, I did everything.
Yeah.
The cleaning, the whatever there was to do, I did it, except for serving. And I was never happier. Although I was in a lot of pain because I was on my feet all the time. But who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I did it and I liked it. Nothing that I wanted to continue, but I proved that I can do it, that I am capable of that. And that's enough for me.
Mm.
Yeah, that's amazing and huge, and
Yeah.
very, very, very big part of growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Growing.
I got a lot of experience from that. And I also realized that I don't want to work in the restaurants.
Yeah.
That is something that I don't want to do. And that is also very important. And that is also really important to do things and realize that I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
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 I've done it and I don't want to do this, to have that option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you have tried.
Yeah.
And know what it requires of you.
Yeah.
Then made the decision, okay, this is not for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Shift.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've worked as a volunteer for a lot of organizations. I've said that a million times on this channel. But that is also an experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And very nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Diva, how old were you when? Sorry, I was just gonna say, how old were you when you started the restaurant job?
It was through my school, so I was 14.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I intentionally ask about age as well, because I do think, like, when you're young, trying things and experimenting with things and like getting into a job and just getting in there, and maybe you like it, maybe you won't. I think, anyways, like, I reflect on my restaurant experience, and I was 14 as well when I started to get into the restaurant stuff, and it was also a job that, like, it had its end date, and I enjoyed it, but, like, okay, that's enough with that, and time to move on. But the skills I learned through that experience are invaluable, and I never would have got those skills if I hadn't had tried and hadn't have done it. And then if also somebody gave me the chance to be able to do it, which is the other side to that. But yeah. Yeah.
And what else? I have a lot of stories because I've been in a lot of places. If it wasn't a trainee, then I worked as a volunteer. I also worked in a museum.
Okay.
For like for a summer in the town where I live. Yeah. Okay. Or it was a museum, it was admin, and I was working at their candy shop.
Okay.
Basically just talking to people and eating candy,
Yes.
which
Love it.
didn't suck.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Customer service for 6 months, which I've learned a lot there. How to talk to people. They are extremely angry with me, or not with me at their situation, but they're taking it out on me because they call me. That was interesting experience to get yelled at for things that you didn't do.
My gosh.
Yeah. But I also developed a lot of skills from that, which no one can take away from me.
No. No.
For me, I have always known I want to work with people, for people. So my first work experiences was a kindergarten teacher.
Mm.
Yeah, all from like the smallest kids, like 1-2-year-olds, up to beginning of the school year.
Mm.
Amazing. But also speaking of accessibility and predetermined notion from a lot of people, making up stories in their minds before they meet, let's say, a person in a wheelchair. Like, you cannot do this, and not even replying to our work application.
Yeah.
I will forever remember the place which became my first part-time job. The one of the employees there, I think she called me up saying, we really want to have you here. Just wanted to let you know that not all of our spaces are wheelchair accessible, but I want to leave this decision up to you, Ina. So which day can you come and look around at our, I think it was a school. I don't really remember, or maybe a kindergarten. Yeah. I remember this very, very small, like, crawl in space. Very, very super cozy. I'm like, okay, there maybe hard, but otherwise, I'm like, there is no problem. I mean, and the best thing I learned, and I also think I teach my colleagues and the kids was that all people are different, and there are different ways of doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
And getting to the same goal. You just find different ways.
Yeah.
I saw remember time spent outside on their yard, like this, in this sandbox. There was a big like climbing tower type of thing, and like kids do when they play, they run around, and of course go up to go down, slide, or whatever. One of the kids, I remember, we had some type of discussion, I don't know what, and this kid just runs away and up this climbing playing ground type of thing in the sandbox. So there's no freaking way for me to get up there. So we had a staring contest for a minute or two.
Yes.
before I had the idea on what to tell this kid.
Yeah.
What I told this kid, I don't know if this kid was like 3 or 4, or maybe older. I said, it's perfectly okay if you run away from me, but just so you know, if you hurt yourself up there, or fall down, there's no way for me to come and help you. So if you want my help, if you want the reassurance from me as an adult, which is what I'm there to protect you and help you. I didn't say that, but that was the baseline of my speech.
Yeah.
Then that's your choice. You can, that's up to you. And the amazing part was that kid climbed down.
Wow.
And
Wow.
got closer to me. I mean something clicked, and I will forever. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Kids are the future. Kids are.
That's right. I love that.
Yeah.
Love.
but amazing. Yeah.
Hold on, Ina. I do have a super serious question about that story.
Uh-huh.
Who won this staring contest?
Probably the kid. I, I mean,
Oh, I love that.
that was a few years ago, so I don't really remember.
uh,
But then I got out of working for in kindergarten and schools and started my own business.
yeah.
It has its ups and downs, pros and cons, like everything else.
Yeah.
I get to do what I love.
Yeah.
Now there's not much more time, so I'm thinking we will turn it over to our viewers to in the comments or on our social media, wherever this finds you.
Mhm.
If you yourself have a disability, what is your story, and do you have any words of encouragement for younger people, maybe, or yeah. And also, if you're not in our SPNH community or disability community, what uh, what do you say, predetermined notions
Yeah. Yeah.
do you have about people with disability, maybe, and how do you see us kind of uh, closing the gap, because
Mhm.
that's what we're trying to do here.
Mhm.
We're trying to grow and educate and closing the gap
Mhm.
between disability community and the community, the world at large, because at the end of the day, we're all people.
Yeah.
People.
Heck yeah.
Oh.
Heck yeah.
So that was maybe a lot of info, but make yourself known right in the comments below. And before we say goodbye, very important, next month, which is the month of October, there will be no community conversation, but make sure you subscribe to this channel, because on the 25th of October, the SPNH International World Day, or whatever you say, we will have a live stream on this channel. With a lot of more people than just the three of us. And yeah, we're super excited.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And also looking forward to a community conversation being back in November.
Okay.
with probably a more down-to-earth, serious conversation.
Yeah.
High and low,
Yep.
but
That one is going to be very interesting.
yes,
Yes.
like itself. But comment, subscribe, make sure you're ready for the live stream on 25th of October. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.